in.
Okay.
So she is not here right at the moment. She'll join in a few minutes.
Do we have Miss Slagle on the line yet? And then is Nancy Halter going to be on tonight?
No, she told me she wouldn't.
Okay, while we're waiting for Diane to get here, I'm assuming it's for the sake of being able to record things. I will take care of a couple of quick things for business on how tonight should go. We will have committee meetings. I did speak with Mr. Pedro yesterday. He is unable to attend tonight due to illness in his household. So we are rescheduling him for another evening. Oh, we are recording. Is that you, Mark, that recorded for us?
Yes.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started then. Okay, great. So yes, Mr. Pedro will not be in attendance this evening. So he will not be able to do a budget report out for the Parks and Recreation department, but we will reschedule him. This evening, I do see that we have myself, Ed Lewis, in attendance. We have Mr. Hernkane in attendance, Miss Creamer in attendance, Miss Littman in attendance, Mr. Lombardi in attendance, and Mr. Gregg is also in attendance. Mrs. Sterrett is unable to attend, and Mrs. Halter is unable to attend, and I do not see Mr. Therrett in yet. City officials that are present that I can see are David Maley, Maud Slagle, and Samantha Walters. Do I have any other city officials with us this evening?
Sylvester on. Lori Katagides Boron's on.
Bill Bartos, Law Department.
Thank you. All right, we're going to just give this a couple more minutes because I do know that Treasurer Slagle, we will only be hearing from you this evening due to Mr. Pedro not being able to attend. I do want to give a couple minutes to see if Mr. Therrett joins us because he did have business to address prior to our council meeting where we'll be having an actual session.
Hello, everyone. I'm just checking to make sure I'm operating here. Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, great. Okay, fabulous.
Mr. Lewis, I just texted Mr. Therrett to see if he's aware that we're waiting on him.
He is now logging in. I see him. Perfect. All right. So now that we have Mr. Thayer present, Treasurer Slagle, would you like to share with us any updates about the Treasurer's office and discuss anything you want about the budget in 2021?
Well, okay. Thank you. I believe the only item that's really important in the budget is the line item for the temporary help. I came to the conclusion that having a department of one is not really a good operational, it's not good from an operational standpoint. If something were to happen to the treasurer, there goes the department. So I have been using the contract services of Michelle Del Rio Keller as my deputy, I guess you'd say. And she is bonded as well. And so now we are a department of two. So that is really the only change from years past. Does anyone have any questions?
And Ms. Lake, well, I understand that you guys basically trade off days so that there's better coverage in that office, correct?
Well, I don't know what you mean by better coverage, but it's always that, yes, either she's there, I'm there, or we're both there.
Okay, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, okay.
Ms. Littman, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Maude, I would ask, it was my understanding that the backup for your office was to be the auditor's office. When has that changed?
That was never the case because that would not be dual control. The auditor and the treasurer have to be separate in order to have the dual control on the receipt of money and the disbursements. So they have never done the auditor. I mean, they have never filled in when the treasurer, well, to my knowledge, they've never done it. And certainly not when I was there. And when I arrived, I was told that didn't ever happen.
Another question would be, is there sufficient work for both of you, or is it strictly for a backup basis?
It is, well, a backup basis, I guess you would say. Yeah. The job isn't a lot of work, but it's every day. Well, not every, well, it was every day. Now we don't do it every day, but it's the kind of thing where you have to do whatever's there when it's available. You know, it's not a clock in at 9 and leave at 11 kind of thing every day. So the workload isn't a lot. It's just managing it.
Are we paying the backup on a daily or daily basis as well?
Hourly.
Okay, so how many hours is your backup being paid for?
Well, it depends on how many hours that I mean, it can be anywhere from an hour to depending a day when she shows up, depending on what the workload is.
Can you tell me on a monthly basis what we're paying her? That way it's more of a general.
Oh, probably, well, let's see, in a 2-week period. Well, let's see if it's 3 hours. Let's say if it's 3 hours a week. She's there 1 day a week. So if that was a heavy day, it would be 3 hours a week. So that'd be 3 times 4, 12 hours, 14 hours, something like that at the most. Unless she was filling in if I were on vacation or, you know.
So how much are we paying her on a contractual basis?
She's getting paid this year at $15 an hour.
Can I ask why this was never felt necessary up to this point? I mean, there's been no history in the treasurer's office to require a outside contractor.
Well, there always was someone to fill in for vacation.
And where was that person sought from?
Well, I inherited her from Paul Lambert, actually. But she was not available. She was able to do the deposits and record things in the treasurer's spreadsheet. But she wouldn't have been able to fill in if something were to happen to the treasurer on any kind of a regular basis and know what was going on. So I think it's important to have more than one person who knows what's going on there, which is why I wanted to have someone else.
Excuse me, Ms. Slagle. But that is handled in your contracts line item, right?
Yes.
So
Well, I
since
don't know where the auditor puts it.
it would be the
I don't know
only
where
place
it
that
has.
makes sense. Yeah, the only place that would make sense would be your service and contracts, because nothing else is substantial enough to be able to cover the cost that you're discussing. So I just wanted to make sure that we budgeted it last year, so it would have been within your discretion to go ahead and make that move since it's a contracted employee.
Yes, she started in 2019.
Okay.
Thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
And just for additional information, Ms. Slagle, would you, because we do have so many new and different faces on council, why don't you give a quick overview of your responsibilities as treasurer for the city of Massillon?
Okay. The treasurer is tasked with managing the money, being responsible for getting it into the bank, out of the bank, and for investments. So the treasurer and the auditor, of the process that we have in the city of Massillon, it's a dual control. So I get the money from a department, I put the money in the bank, tell the auditor I put money in the bank, and the next day the auditor looks to see that the money's there and then sends a receipt back to the department saying that they know, acknowledging that we've deposited their money. So that's the basic day-to-day business. And then also I manage the investments.
Can you speak a little bit to the investment strategy and the progress that you've made?
Well, yes, we're not doing so well this year with the interest environment so bad, but we've partnered with an investment firm called Meter, and they specialize in working with government entities, and they work very closely with the state treasurer's office as well. And we have not all of our money, but 10 million or so with them that they are managing, and that's turned out to be very productive. We're doing much better with them than we would have if we're just sitting at the bank in a CD. So I'm pleased about how that's going, at least for the time being. And then we have investments at Huntington and First Commonwealth.
All right. Just looking at the overall budget, it looks like in 2020, the budget was 39,812. And this year, it's only $40,666.59. It would appear that a portion of that is due to benefits for the treasurer themselves and for bond. And that's about it. Everything else looks like you're just basically using the same numbers from the previous year.
Correct.
Does anyone else from council have any questions for the treasurer?
Mr. Lewis, I do. This is Mr. Hernkane.
Go ahead, Mr. Ernkane.
Thank you. Hi, Maude. I have a question for you. How much money does the city have invested total, roundabout?
Oh, boy. Okay. I wish I were at my office. Well, we have about 10 million at Meter, 10 or so million at Huntington, and then might be another 10 million at First Commonwealth,
Okay.
roughly speaking.
Thank you. Do you know off the top of your head roughly what those are invested in?
Oh, all kinds of stuff. It's,
Okay.
I mean, they're broken up in many different banks and instruments. Yeah. I can get that information to you if you want to know.
It's not that important. I was just asking. I didn't know if they were stocks and bonds, mutual funds, what type of investment tools we utilized.
Well,
Ms. Slagle, I'm sorry. The report that you do for the investment committee, could you get that to Diane and she could send it to all of council?
That'd be great. Thank you.
To the report to the investment committee, what do you mean by that?
Well, I remember when we had the investment committee, you kind of had some graphs and charts breaking down some of the investment strategy and things of that nature.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, I can, yeah, okay.
Even
Okay.
council used to get that on a regular basis. That used to be part of our packet as well. This is
Since I've been treasurer, or what are you referring to?
when we were in chambers, we were able to get a copy of what the investments were and how much was in each bank.
We have gotten that.
I was gonna say, you don't get that anymore?
I get that monthly, Miss Letman.
Okay, no, I have not gotten it in a few months, actually several months.
Oh, well, I prepare that once a month, so I am not sure why you didn't get it, but it is available.
Well, that would be fine. It's also my understanding, Mr. Hearn Kane, that government funds are not permitted to be in stocks and or bonds. They are only short-term investment instruments that can be used. So there's very limited investment opportunities that government funds can be invested in. So that investment policy statement would be something that Ms. Slagle should be able to provide to us as well.
Mr. Lewis, I have another question.
Go ahead.
Who is on the investment committee?
The investment committee is the mayor, the treasurer, the councilperson finance chairman, and the auditor? The auditor, I think.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I would say to Linda's point about the investment instruments that that municipalities are allowed to use, that is why I'm using meter, because that's all they do. And so they know, I feel confident that I'm not getting hung up by doing things that, aren't allowed, because that's all they do and what they do, so.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to confirm that Maud would be providing us with the copy of the investment policy statement as well as the statement of investments. Is that something she could provide to Diane so that we're
Yes.
able to? Okay, thank you.
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. Well, thank you, Miss Slagle. I can say that, I mean, you have been treasurer now for what, 4 years or so?
8.
8 years? Wow.
Yeah,
Time flies, huh?
it certainly does.
So, I can remember when I first came on council, I don't feel like we got as much reporting as we have with you. So that is nice. I think that graph that I had seen a couple of months ago, that the council would benefit from. Diane, are you able to speak to us yet? Apparently not.
I'm sorry.
No problem. I just want to make sure that when we get the treasurer's report, you'll be able to include it in our packets, because I think she sends that over to us monthly.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, with that, that's all we have for the budget discussions tonight. Thank you again, Mrs. Slagle.
Thank you.
Mr. Tharrett, I believe you had a committee meeting called as well?
Yeah, that's correct. We have legislation that we were going to need to introduce at the last meeting that we weren't able to. It involves moving forward with some of the properties on the Wales Road widening project. Mr. Bartos is here if you have any direct questions for him, but it's part of the process of keeping this moving, getting the right of ways and the right instruments in place to have all the legalities taken care of. So it's on the agenda tonight, and I'll make a motion to do that. And I think all we have to do, if there's no question, first of all, is there any questions about this? It's your crickets. That being the case, I'd just like to set this on the agenda tonight.
I'm going to need verbals from the Streets and Highway Committee.
I will give my verbal. Creamer?
I think Nancy's the only other one.
And Nancy's not here tonight. I only need the 2 verbals so I can place it on the agenda. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I think that's all I have.
Mr. Thayer, you did see the email where you have to make a motion during the meeting?
Yes, I did. And I have that all right here. I'll be ready.
Well, since that covers the business of the committees, Mr. Bartos,
Yeah, oh, yep, yes.
before we roll into the actual meeting, I was under the understanding that, this was supposed to be at 6, and then the special session of the meeting, that where we were going to start doing voting was more like a 6:30. Do we wait 8 minutes, or do we go ahead and just proceed?
Based upon the notice that was put out, it does seem to indicate that, the proceedings, it's one number, one call, and it's just a 6 p.m. start time. But given that council does have a, traditional 6:30 start time, it doesn't hurt at the same time to wait till 6:30 if you would like to start the council meeting. So, but I do think that given that the notice is for a simple 6 p.m. start, you are within your discretion to continue on. But perhaps a recess would be in order, just to keep things consistent with the normal start times.
All right, why don't we go ahead and wait a few minutes just in case there is public comment and they are waiting until 6:30 to come on. I would hate to be past that point and then feel like they're not getting an opportunity. So we'll take a short 7-minute recess already, and then we'll get back to the business. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started back up. All right. Welcome to the Massillon City Council meeting for Monday, November 23rd, 2020. We have in attendance with us the following city officials. We do see Jason Popiel is here, David Maley is here, Samantha Walters is here, Bill Bartos from the Law Department is here, Barb Sylvester, Safety Service Director, reported in, Lori Katagides Boron, Budget Director has reported in. Who else am I missing? Anyone else? All right, Diane, I think that's all the administration and other officials that are present with us tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Number 5 on the agenda is where the public can speak on any item that appears on tonight's agenda. And then under number 17 is where the public can speak on any item that does not appear on tonight's agenda. Roll call.
Kramer,
Present.
Gregg,
Present.
Halter, Kane,
Here.
Lewis,
Present.
Littman,
Here.
Lombardi,
Here.
Starrett, and Barrett.
Present.
Roll call of 7 present.
Can I have a motion to accept the absences of Starrett and Halter?
So moved.
And second? Greg seconds.
I'll second, yes.
Roll call.
Gregg,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
and Kramer.
Yes.
7 yes to excuse Councilwomen Halter and Starrett.
All right, thank you. That will bring us all the way down to number 5, remarks for delegations and citizens to items that are on tonight's agenda. If you would like to present to council, I ask that you state your name and address, and please attempt to keep your comments to under 3 minutes. Seeing no comments, we move to item number 6, new and miscellaneous business. Mr. Tharrett?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend Rule 25.1, proceed with tonight's agenda as distributed.
Do we have a second?
Kramer.
Kramer seconds. Roll call.
Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
and Gregg.
Yes.
7 yes to suspend Rule 25.1.
Thank you. To keep with recent tradition, Mr. Gregg, do you have any comments this evening during new and miscellaneous business?
Yes, Mr. Lewis, thank you very much. I just would like to congratulate the Massillon Tiger football team on a wonderful season. 10-1, third straight trip to the state championship. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out the way we would like, but we know the boys fought hard the entire season and did a tremendous job representing themselves, their school, and their community. So I just want a big shout out to the Massillon Tiger football program, Coach Moore, all of his coaches, and all the players. Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Right. All right, we will now move on to item number 7, introduction of ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 119-2020.
An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Massillon, Ohio, to advertise for and receive sealed bids and to enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder upon the approval of the Board of Control for the lease of mowers for the Legends of Massillon Golf Course and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Creamer.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. This request was discussed a few weeks back with Director Pedro present to answer any questions. This is to advertise and receive sealed bids for a new mowers lease for the Legends Golf Course. The current lease expires February 1st, 2021. Mr. Pedro did state that they were going to lease, the request is to lease 6 pieces of equipment. Are there any questions regarding this? Seeing none, it does have emergency language. So I make a motion that we waive the rules requiring 3 readings and bring ordinance number 119-2020 forward for a vote.
I'll second that. Littman?
Roll call.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
and Hernkane.
Yes.
7 yes, 4 suspension.
I think she forgot Littman on there, but I will, yes as well.
Oh. I started with Lewis, so Littman should have been second, but okay.
You went straight to Lombardi. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
And for
And I
passage.
apologize. 7 yes, 4 suspension.
Okay, and for passage.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hernkane,
Yes.
and Lewis.
Yes.
7 yes, 4 passage.
Mrs. Kramer, this is Linda Littman. I just wanted to note as well, which I thought was a pertinent item in that request, was that the maintenance of those mowers is with this lease contract.
You are correct.
Thank you.
Okay, ordinance number 119 has passed. Ordinance number 120-2020.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 142-2016, changing golf fees for the Legends of Massillon Golf Course, beginning with the 2021 season.
Councilwoman Creamer.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. This request was also discussed a few weeks back with Director Pedro from the Parks and Rec Department. He did communicate to all of us the proposed 2020 golf rates and comparing them to the current 2020 rates. It does have emergency language, and it has been approved by the Park and Rec Board Committee with a 5-0 vote. Does anyone have any questions?
Mr. Thayer.
Can I be grandfathered? I was done. Thank you, though.
I'm sorry. I can't answer that, Mr. Thayer. I don't have the powers. No other questions? Okay, seeing none, I make a motion that we waive the rules requiring 3 readings and bring ordinance number 120-2020 forward for a vote.
Do we have a second?
Linda Littman?
And roll call.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hernkane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
and Littman.
Yes.
7 yes, 4 suspension.
And for passage.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hearn Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
and Lombardi.
Yes.
7 yes, 4 passage.
Ordinance number 120-2020 has passed. Ordinance number 121-2020.
An ordinance to approve the 2020 replacement pages to the codified ordinances of the City of Massillon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Gregg.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Lewis. This is legislation we discussed in a prior committee meeting regarding the need to approve the replacement of pages from the codified ordinances of the City of Massillon. We need to do this each year. We do it each year. It's a standard process. Any questions regarding this? Okay, seeing and hearing none, does have emergency legislation, emergency language, so I'd like to move that we suspend the rules requiring 3 readings and bring ordinance number 121-2020 forward for a vote.
Do we have a second?
Hearn Kane, second.
Roll call for suspension.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hearn Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
and Barrett. I see these. Barrett. 7 yes, 4 suspension.
And for passage.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hearn Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
and Creamer.
Yes.
7 yes, 4 passage. Or was that
Ordinance number
suspension?
120.
That was passage?
That was passage.
Okay, thank you.
Ordinance number 121-2020 has passed. Ordinance numbered 122-2020.
An ordinance making certain appropriations from the unappropriated balance of the 1204 Municipal Court Special Court Fund for the year ending December 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis, I give it first reading. Ordinance number 122-2020 receives first reading. Ordinance number 123-2020.
An ordinance making certain appropriations from the unappropriated balance of the 1229 Home Fund for the year ending December 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency.
Again, Councilman Lewis, we did speak about this at our last work session. We did have Ms. Walters, who was able to present on it. She is present tonight. My intention would be to bring this forward. Does anyone have any questions or discussion this evening? Seeing none, I make a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings, bringing ordinance number 123-2020 forward for a vote. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Gregg?
All right, so roll call for suspension.
Hearn Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
and Gregg.
Yes.
7 yes, 4 suspension.
And passage?
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
and Hearn Kane.
Yes.
7 yes, 4 passage.
Ordinance number 123-2020 has passed. Ordinance number 124-2020.
An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Massillon, Ohio, to enter into a one-year contract with Medical Mutual of Ohio for health insurance coverage for city employees effective January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021, and declaring an emergency.
This would again be to myself for the Finance Committee. This is our agreement to provide insurance to our employees throughout the city. The auditor has asked that we pass this tonight since there is a hard date for them to be able to get this submitted so that they can start to do appropriate withholdings. Are there any questions or discussion this evening? Ms. Littman.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. My question would be, is there any opportunity that Medical Mutual of Ohio would offer a multi-year contract? And if so, is there any premium advantage to do so?
Is there anyone from administration that's on the call this evening that would be able to answer that question?
Yes, I can answer that question. This is Barb.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. The Healthcare Committee has raised that question before, and we have not ever found any providers that are able to offer coverage for extending more than 1 year.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, Ms. Littman.
Do we broker this out for a variety of different companies?
Yes, we do. We use Hammersmith. Mike Marino is our brokerage agent.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion this evening? I make a motion that we suspend the rules requiring 3 readings, bring ordinance number 124-2020 forward for a vote. Do we have a second?
Seconded by Mike Gregg.
Roll call for suspension.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Yes.
Creamer, Gregg,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
and Lewis.
Yes.
7
And for
yes.
pass. Sorry.
It's all right. 7 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett, Barrett,
Looks like he's timed out again.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
and Littman.
Yes.
Should I count that as 7 yes for passage?
We didn't get a 7th vote from him.
So it'd be 6 for passage.
Yes. Mr. Bartos, how would we record their vote? Not applicable?
So did Mr. Thayer did not, I didn't have a chance to vote there, or he timed out before he
There he
said
is.
anything? Here he
Oh, he's coming back.
Here he
There he
is. Jim, we need a
Mr.
yes or a no?
Yes.
Thank you. 7 yes for passage.
Ordinance number 124 has passed. Ordinance number 125-2020.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 168-2019, salary and wage schedules for the supervisory classified or unclassified employees, unclassified employees, and miscellaneous schedule for part-time employees, and declaring an emergency.
Again, this is Finance Committee, so Mr. Lewis, myself. We did discuss this at the last meeting. However, are there any questions or discussion this evening? Seeing none, I make a motion that we suspend the rules requiring 3 readings, bring ordinance number 125-2020 forward for a vote. Do I have a second?
Seconded by Mike Gregg.
Roll call for suspension?
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hernkane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
and Lombardi.
Yes.
7 yes for suspension.
And for passage?
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hernkane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
and Barrett.
Yes.
7 yes for passage.
Ordinance number 125-2020 has passed. Ordinance number 126-2020.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor and the law director or their designees on behalf of the city of Massillon to proceed with and/or continue with appropriation of interest in real property necessary for construction of the Wales Road Widening Project, STA SR-241 09.71, PID number 100471, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. Thayer.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. We didn't have a chance to discuss this at length at the last meeting, but Mr. Bartos is here just in case anyone has any questions. This is, as it reads, a continuation of the process to get the properties lined up for the widening of Wales Road. If there's any questions, Bill Bartos or I will be able to answer. Ms. Littman?
Thank you. May I ask how many individuals and or organizations are still on our list for the eminent domain, to continue on the eminent domain process?
So you've got the list.
Mr. President?
Yes. Mr. Bartos.
At present time, we will be having to file, it will be 15 appropriation actions. There's already 7 pending. There's another, or excuse me, there's 8 pending. There are 7 to go. Of those that are pending, we've already received contact from 2 of the owners, one to settle and the other to settle as well. It was a joint ownership situation where one of the owners thought it was a husband and wife couple. The husband thought the wife signed the documents. The wife thought the husband signed it. So they thought things had been settled. So, but at the same time, numerous notices had gone out, and we hadn't heard final notice from them. So. The good news is those 2 will be easily taken care of. So as things move forward, then it looks like somewhere in the range of 12, 13 will proceed forward.
Ms. Littman, do you have any other questions?
No, I was just wondering where we were in that. Thank you.
Mr. Thayer?
Are there any other questions? Then I make a motion that we suspend the rules requiring 3 readings and bring bring legislation ordinance number 126-2020 up for vote tonight.
Is there a second?
Creamer.
Roll call for suspension?
Gregg,
Yes.
Hernkane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman, Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
and Gregg.
Yes.
7 yes for suspension.
And for passage?
Hernkane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
and Gregg.
Yes.
7 yes for passage.
Ordinance number 126-2020 has passed. Moving on to item number 8. Is there any unfinished business?
No, there is not.
Item 9, petitions and general communications to council.
No, there are not.
Thank you. Item number 10, bills, accounts, and claims. Do we have any bills?
Yes, we have a bill in the amount of $996 for the publication of our September ordinances. And we also have a bill in the amount of $2,109.40 for our codified ordinance replacement pages. There was a bill in the amount of $170.39 for computer equipment to get back into chambers. However, those funds were paid out of COVID.
All right.
So we have a total of bills tonight of $3,105.40.
All right, thank you. And we would need a motion from the finance chair. So I make a motion that we pay the bills. Is there a second?
Seconded by Mike Gregg.
Roll call?
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
and Hermkane.
Yes.
7 yes to pay the bills.
Technicality. Mr. Bartos,
Yes.
should one of our members have abstained from the last vote? In that the bill is in their name and they'd be recipient of the payment.
Yeah, I think that, yes, if we can chart that down as an abstention.
Mr. Lombardi, do you have an objection to that?
No, no objection.
All right. Ms. Foley, can you record Mr. Lombardi's vote as an abstention?
Okay, so that would be 6 yes, 1 abstention.
All right, the clerk will pay the bills and charge them to the proper accounts. All right, section 11, reports from city officials.
Not at this time.
Mr. Lewis?
The auditor's report is on the agenda.
No. Do I have it on the cheat sheet?
Yeah. All right, so I can go.
Next meeting, yeah.
Yes, Ms. Lippman.
I just wanted to ask, and I don't know if this is the appropriate place to do so or not, that the income tax department actually give us an update. I know that we had said on a monthly basis previously, but with COVID affecting some of our revenue and expenses, if we could maybe have an update either tonight or in our next meeting.
Yes, we can note that, but that would have technically been section 13 for future reference. Item number 12, reports of committees. Okay, our next work session will be November 30th, 2020 at 6:30. Item 13, resolutions, request of council members as requested by Ms. Littman. Yes, Ms. Littman, I will follow up with Lori Katagides-Bourne and see if we can get an update within the next couple of weeks, if that suffices.
That would be fine. Thank you.
Any other resolutions or requests of council members? Mr. Gregg.
Yes, Mr. Lewis, thank you very much. Probably should have mentioned just under item 11, but the Rules and Courts Committee does have a meeting scheduled for 6 o'clock on the 30th to discuss pending, not legislation, but rules, council rules that we were discussing changing. Mr. Bartos, I believe, is going to provide me with legislation relative to that. Is that correct, Mr. Bartos, sometime before the 30th?
Yes, Mr. Gregg, I plan to send you the proposed language tomorrow, actually, so I was going to reach out to you then if that works for you.
That's fine. That's fine. And then I will forward that to the rest of the Rules and Courts Committee. And we'll have that for Monday.
It's Roland, and the press will be notified when you send out your packet.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Greg?
Yes.
Mr. Littman?
Yes. May I ask for a copy of that language as well?
Certainly.
Thank you very much.
President Pro Tem?
Yes, Ms. Rowland.
Yes, as far as the income tax update, that is included in the mayor's report. So once that is submitted to you, you will get that. The income tax, all the departments are in that mayor's report when they're sent to you.
Yes, I know that the budget director usually does include comparisons from previous years and lets us know. But I will still follow up with Ms. Katagides-Boron to see if she has any additional information she would like to possibly share. But thank you, Ms. Rowland. You're absolutely correct. You can look at the mayor's report and get that information as well.
Okay.
All right. Item number 14, call of the calendar. We have nothing. Item 15, third reading of ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 108-2020.
An ordinance amending chapter 919 sidewalk and curb replacement program of the codified ordinances of the City of Massillon.
Councilman Thayer.
Thank you, President Lewis. If there's no further discussion this evening, I'd like to bring this forward for a vote. If there's any questions about what this involves, we got a couple weeks to mull it over. It's just replacement. That's a good idea to get things, our sidewalks and curbs maintained throughout the city. Good program. If there's no question, council, I'd like to make a motion to bring this forward for a vote.
Do we have a second?
Creamer.
Kramer seconded. All right. Roll call for passage.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Alter. I'm sorry, Hernkane
Yes.
and Lewis.
Yes.
7 yes for passage.
Ordinance number 108-2020 has passed. Ordinance number 110-2020.
An ordinance declaring the improvement of certain real property located in the city of Massillon, Ohio, to be a public purpose, declaring such property to be exempt from real property taxation, designating the improvements to be made that will directly benefit or serve such real property, requiring the owner of such real property to make annual service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of service payments, and declaring an emergency.
Yes, this would be again the finance chair, and I will report out that after speaking with Mr. Maley of the city's administration, he reports that they are still working out details on the property that is being transferred into the new owner's name, and they are still awaiting some finalization of that process. With that said, we are not ready to move forward on this, and he has asked us to just go ahead and table it indefinitely, and then he will readdress council when everything is in order. With that said, I make a motion that we table ordinance number 110-2020 indefinitely. Do we have a second?
Seconded by Mike Gregg.
Roll call.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
and Littman.
Yes.
7 yes to table ordinance number 110-2020 indefinitely.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 110-2020 has been tabled. On to item number 16, second reading of ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 114-2020.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Massillon, Ohio to enter into an agreement with Lepley and Company LLC to provide an economic development inducement grant to fund startup costs, including build out at the property located at 13 Penn Avenue Southeast, Massillon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Councilwoman Sterrett was unable to attend this evening. She asked me to go ahead and give this second reading. So second reading and ordinance number 114-2020 receives second reading. Ordinance number 115-2020.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Massillon, Ohio to enter into an agreement with the Legacy Project of Stark to provide an economic development inducement grant to fund costs for expansion at the property located at 708 Tremont Avenue Southwest, Massillon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
This ordinance would also be going to community development. Councilwoman Sterrett is now present. She asked me to also provide this a second reading. So second reading, ordinance number 115-2020 has received second reading. Ordinance number 117-2020.
An ordinance making certain transfers in the 2020 appropriations from within the 1100 General Fund for the year ending December 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Finance Committee. Ordinance number 117-2020 coincides with the previous two ordinances, so I will be giving it second reading. Ordinance number 117-2020 receives second reading. Ordinance number 118-2020.
An ordinance to adopt appropriations for the operating and capital expenditures of the city of Massillon, Ohio for the fiscal year 2021 and declaring an emergency.
Yes, again, this is the Finance Committee. This is what we call the budget. We are continuing to have discussions related to this. At our next work session, we will be hearing from other members of the administration. I'll be working to reschedule with Parks and Rec. And I'm also working toward getting a report out from the courts for us. I just remind everybody that as other elected officials do report out to us, we also will have, I think the law director will be able to speak to their budget next week as well. Just remember, as other elected officials, they do discuss their budget with us, but they are autonomous and are able to operate within their budget fairly freely. With that said, I give it second reading. Ordinance number 118-2020 has received second reading. This brings us to item number 17 on the agenda, remarks of delegation and citizens to matters not on the agenda. If you'd like to speak to council this evening about anything that was not on the agenda, please feel free to do so. Please state your name and your address, and we do ask that you try to keep your comments to under 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak with the council? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion of adjournment from any member of council.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Littman motioned, Therrett seconded. We are adjourned. Thank you all and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.